Hello, Revolution Pro Wrestling viewers. Our incredibly successful return to Southampton is in the books, and we have an incredibly busy weekend up ahead. So I'm here to break it down, as always, with Andy Quilden. Andy, how are you doing?
Doing very good, thanks. I said at the last one, didn't I, that there's no stopping now. We're full steam ahead with just shows all over the place, and hopefully we're going to be able to maintain this momentum throughout the year. But it's an exciting time because this weekend, obviously, we're in Cardiff, which obviously is what we're going to be talking about now on Friday, and Birmingham on Sunday. So two new areas for us to venture into as we continue our growth, we continue our expansion, and we continue to try and just do what's best for British wrestling and create some exciting environments and build our fan base and, you know, in turn build ourselves. So yeah, it's a very exciting time.
The road to York Hall is well and truly underway. As you said, we're in Cardiff on Friday, so let's dive right in. And why don't we start with some Welsh favourites themselves? We've got the Greedy Souls, our undisputed British tag team champions, and they're taking on a team making their debut. And I get to bust out a little bit of my Italian accent. We've got BBB, which is the Brescia Backbreakers, and that's the team of Mirko Mori and Nico Inverardi. And I don't think that's a match anyone saw coming. So this is an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Can you say the BBB deal again?
Yeah. Brescia Backbreakers.
You thought I was giving you some direction there, but no, we're live now. This is one take and it's done. The Brescia. Did you roll the R?
I tried to, but I'm so ill at the moment. It's not happening.
The Backbreakers. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, as you said, two homegrown stars, two Welsh stars, Danny Jones and Brendan White, a homecoming of sorts for the Greedy Souls. Will they be cheered? I would think they may be cheered because they do fly that Welsh flag proudly. Few people will forget the way the Greedy Souls were sulking and reacting around December time when we were at the 229 and England had were playing in the Euros and just after Wales had been knocked out. And certainly Danny Jones and Brendan White were very patriotic, to say the least. So they may get a bit of hometown uncharacteristic love when we come to Cardiff this Friday. But look, Danny Jones and Brendan White are the real deal as undisputed British tag team champions. They have shown it time and time again. Any question marks about them have absolutely been eroded away. And I think right now they stand as, without a doubt, the top team in Europe right now. And they want to put that to the test against anyone from around the world. And Mirko Mori, I think you added a bit of a
Mirko Mori, you know.
Mirko Mori, and Nico Inverardi.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Close enough? Is that close enough?
Yeah.
BBB, they are one of the most exciting tag teams that I've seen in a long time. And I think that the Italian wrestling scene at the moment is one of a bit of the unsung heroes. Of course, that they came through the same path as Francesco Akira, who we'll talk about a little bit later on. But they have some the exact type of team that we're looking for. They train together, they work together, you know, they've broken through this business together, and they've traveled around Europe together. And as a result, that makes them formidable for anyone. They're not a thrown together team. They know each other inside out, very much like the Greedy Souls. And they know who they are as a team as well, which makes them a very tough proposition for Brendan White and Danny Jones. So yeah, I'm very excited to see them compete. For anyone who doesn't know them, Mirko's a shorter of two. Nico is the taller by default. But they both offer something very different to one another, you know, like those classic teams which complement each other's styles. Very versatile professional wrestlers, technically proficient, and like I say, just masters of the tag team craft. So Greedy Souls are obviously going to have the size advantage. We saw what happened when Danny Jones went up against Robbie X. That size advantage really paid dividends in the end. But I'm excited for this contest, and again, it's a big opportunity for BBB to show exactly what they're all about, and to book themselves not only a return plane ticket to Revolution Pro Wrestling, but also a shot for those undisputed British Tag Team Championships. Because despite the fact the gold isn't on the line this Friday in Cardiff, if they beat the champions, we know what happens.
Well, the gold might not be on the line in that match, but we have two incredibly exciting title matches for our card in Cardiff. We have the Southside Women's Championship on the line, and that is another Welsh sports person. That's our reigning champion, Danny Luna, taking on Skye Smithson. Now, we saw Skye Smithson re-emerge at the 229, further reinstating her ties with the Legion. And I think this is the kind of opponent Danny Luna has been looking for, someone that can match her power, her style. However, I think Skye poses quite a formidable threat to the title.
Yeah, absolutely. Skye Smithson and Danny Luna are two smash mouth professional wrestlers. They're going to be, one speed, and that's go, and they're going to be in each other's faces. It's going to be a very physical contest. And as you say, it's a type of contest which Danny Luna thrives upon. We've seen her often go up against women who she has a power advantage against. Against Skye Smithson, it's going to be much more even. And that is the type of competition that Danny Luna thrives. Sure, stylistically, when she works against smaller competitors, quicker competitors, it presents different challenges to her. But she loves to get into a dogfight. She loves to drag her opponents into deep water and see, if they can swim, so to speak. And I think this is going to be the perfect opportunity to see just that. We're going to see a measure of both women. Of course, we remember during those empty arena days when Skye Smithson went toe-to-toe with Jamie Hayter in All Out Wars. And I feel that we know that Skye Smithson can match power with anyone. And as a result, this may be the most precarious situation that Danny Luna's found herself in since returning to Revolution Pro Wrestling. So it's going to be a real challenge. It's going to be interesting to see which side of the coin this lands on. But I've said it many times before, this is one of those pick 'em fights. And on their day, any woman can win. And will the hometown advantage be enough for Danny Luna? That's a big question, but like I say, it's going to be an all-out war, and I think it's going to be a great advert for women's professional wrestling.
Yeah, and it's a match that could really shake up the women's division here in Revolution Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I think it can be argued that Skye Smith, that Danny Luna has shaken it up to an extent, and she's certainly disrupted it and really come out as a dominant force, but she's yet to find her equal. And in Skye Smithson, she may have just found that. And like you say, a real opportunity to shake up the women's division.
Well, that's title match number one. Our second title match will be reigning undisputed cruiserweight champion Robbie X taking on Harrison Bennett. Now, Harrison Bennett shocked everyone on Sunday in Southampton when he emerged and attacked Robbie X after the bell. At first, we thought he was coming to help Robbie X, even the numbers game against the Greedy Souls, but that Welsh blood, it runs deep, and it turns out that what he wanted actually was to challenge Robbie X himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you say, it seemed like he was going to team up with Robbie X and they were going to look to go for those British Tag Team Championships and go against the Greedy Souls. And, we don't really know a lot about Harrison Bennett, but Harrison Bennett obviously worked out how to make a statement. He took out Robbie X. And he made it very clear that the championship that he wants is that undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship, which Robbie X holds. And look, we've spoken time and time again about Robbie X's goals as Cruiserweight Champion, to show he's a king of the Cruiserweights, to show, he's the best junior in the world right now. And to do that, he has to, in his mind, defeat Michael Oku's record as most defending Cruiserweight Champion of all time. He has to do what Michael Oku did, going up and down weight classes, taking on anyone, anytime, any place. He has to remain busy. He has to remain active, and knowing exactly what Robbie X was all about, Harrison Bennett took his opportunity, he took his shot, and he took down Robbie X with some very impressive offense. And he's almost forced Robbie X's hand, hasn't he? And we have a Cruiserweight Championship contest set. Like I say, it's Harrison Bennett's opportunity to shock the wrestling world. We don't know a lot about him, and he's certainly, come in aiming at the top. He's not, he's not come in being one of those guys who wants to start at the bottom and work their way up. He wants to make an instant impact. And you can argue he made a huge impact this past Sunday in Southampton, but unless he can convert when it matters, which is this Friday in Cardiff in a one-on-one contest, face to face with Robbie X, when he can see the attacks coming, unless he can convert then, it may all be for nothing.
Yeah, Robbie X is someone who certainly doesn't back down from a challenge, and this will be just another one of his tests, another test for him to prove himself. And speaking of tests, we saw an interesting scene at the end of our Southampton show. Dan Maloney has been set a series of tests by Will Osprey. He has said that if you can defeat a series of hand-picked opponents by Gideon, the orchestrator of the United Empire, you can get me one-on-one at your call. And we have the first stepping stone for Dan Maloney confirmed, and he'll be taking on Yota Tsuji.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Gideon Gray and Will Osprey have made it clear they're not trying to trip Dan Maloney up. They're not trying to stack the odds against Dan Maloney. They're trying to get some killer instinct out of Dan Maloney. And I think Will Osprey made the point that, look, the last time we saw Dan Maloney and Will Osprey in a ring together was in our Empty Arena tapings, and Dan Maloney laid out Will Osprey, and it looked like they were on a collision course for one another. However, that meeting never took place. And the reason was because every single time Dan Maloney was on the cusp, every time Dan Maloney had that chance to challenge for Will Osprey's undisputed British heavyweight championship within his fingertips, he let go and he slipped up at the last hurdle. And Will Osprey suggesting that's because he has no killer instinct. It's very clear Will Osprey sees something in Dan Maloney, and Will Osprey wants to take Dan Maloney to task. And I think Will Osprey wants to face the best version of Dan Maloney, and he feels that in order to see the best version of Dan Maloney, he has to get him in that tunnel vision mindset. Because if Dan Maloney can win from now through to our event in Sheffield, Dan Maloney is going to get a one-on-one contest with the Billy Goat in York Hall, Bethnal Green, and it doesn't get much bigger than that, does it? So a real opportunity for Dan Maloney. But look, I said that Gideon Gray and Will Osprey aren't trying to slip Dan Maloney up, but they are trying to test him. And it's not a case of Yota Tsuji's being brought in to try and soften up Dan Maloney, as we often see Gideon Gray do, bringing in Lucian Phillips to try and soften people up before contests. No, Yota Tsuji's coming in to try and win a professional wrestling match. And we saw how impressive Tsuji was against Leon Slater this past weekend. Of course, he had a big size advantage against Leon Slater, a power advantage, which perhaps he won't have against Dan Maloney, but he looked so impressive. Of course, bringing in some lucha libre influences from his time in CMLL in Mexico, becoming more of a hybrid professional wrestler. Yota Tsuji's a real deal. And look, I think it's very clear right now that if Dan Maloney is going to make it through to York Hall, Bethnal Green, he will have earned the right to face Will Osprey. And really, when we talk about Will Osprey, we talk about those Grand Slam challenges, those Grand Slam matches, a big match environment that comes with it. Yeah, you do have to earn your opportunity to share the ring with Will Osprey, and that's exactly what Dan Maloney's going to put his head down and try and do. And we'll see, where Dan Maloney shakes out at the end of this, because I think it could be an intriguing contest if Maloney and Osprey, do face one-on-one at York Hall, Bethnal Green. And Dan Maloney's no doubt going to learn a lot of lessons along the way, win, lose or draw on the way to a potential clash with Will Osprey. And even if he doesn't get there, perhaps he'll learn lessons in defeat. So it's a very interesting phase of Dan Maloney's career right now. But, he's made it clear 2023, he wants to be his year. And this is a huge start.
Absolutely. And if his performance in Southampton was anything to go by, we're in for an absolute treat, because him and Luke Jacobs absolutely went to war. And we saw how impressive Yota Tsuji's been. He's always been impressive. But now with this added Lucha Libre brace as well, I mean, that's going to be a match. I think we're going to see some stuff that's going to really blow our minds. But carrying on with that theme of the United Empire, we have Francesco Akira returning to RevPro, and it's a very exciting bout, probably the best opponent you could give him. This one arguably could steal the show. It's Francesco Akira versus Leon Slater.
Yeah, Leon Slater again getting those big match opportunities, a chance to share the ring with world-class professional wrestlers. And make no mistake, Francesco Akira is world-class, one half of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, of course, a member of the United Empire. When the United Empire wrestle, the wrestling world watches. Another opportunity for Leon Slater to show the wrestling world what he's all about. And listen, Leon Slater's learning valuable lessons here. I hate to try and draw comparisons to professional wrestlers at other stages in their careers, but it's just so hard not to when we talk about Leon Slater. And I look at his career trajectory and the similarities we can draw between Leon Slater and the current United Empire leader, Will Osprey. And what really strengthened Will Osprey's career was in competing against some of the best wrestlers from around the globe. And after each and every single one of those big matches with those wrestlers, and we're talking, you know, the likes of your AJ Styles, Kazuchika Okada's, Zack Sabre Jr.'s, etc. You know, the list goes on and on. When we talk about Will Osprey, you know, Matt Sydal, who forget that series, you know. But Will Osprey retained something after each and every single one of those clashes. Will Osprey learned something, and that led him to becoming, you know, the best wrestler in the world, which I think arguably you can call him right now. And this is a stage of a career that Leon Slater is at, where he's competing against the very best. He's holding his own against the very best. And it's just a matter of time, because after each contest is getting stronger and stronger. It's just a matter of time before all that stuff clicks and we have one of the best wrestlers in the world on our hands. There's a lot of if, buts and maybes on that route, a lot of twists and turns. But if he keeps his head straight, and you know, keeps listening to the right people and keeps working hard, keeps his head down, then I truly believe he can get there. And this contest against Akira, who's, you know, just what a fantastic, he's a proper pro wrestler, is Francesco Akira. You know, he's fast, he's durable. He's a great technician. He's a hard hitter. He's got a great chin on him. We saw him stand and strike with Gabriel Kidd. You know, he's resourceful, and now he's got that killer instinct. You know, that same killer instinct that you know, Will Ospreay's trying to get out of Dan Maloney. Francesco Akira now possesses. What a contest he had against Speedball Mike Bailey at the Summer Sizzler, where he really demonstrated that to us. You know, I say Francesco Akira, the real deal, and this one has got show stealer written all over it.
You're reminding me of all these great matches he's had. I'm going to have to go back and watch them myself. And
Where
you can do
watch
that
them?
too on RevProOnDemand.com.
That's the one. Also available on iOS and Android.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have 2 matches left to go through. It's 2 returns in a row. We have the former undisputed British heavyweight champion RKJ in his first match back in RevPro since his injury, and he's taking on Conor Mills.
Yeah, I think, you know, these two met in a RevPro ring once before, and it was a very different contest, with Conor Mills on the back foot for a lot, and Ricky Knight Jr. very much the aggressor, a pissed off Ricky Knight Jr. very much an aggressor. Now, Ricky Knight Jr. is still very pissed off for numerous reasons. But Conor Mills isn't going to be fighting on the back foot now. We know Conor Mills is going to fight forwards, you know, and as a result, this one, I mean, look, we spoke about the Southside Women's Championship match with 2 women just going for the kill on each other and standing out and slugging it out and fighting. I think that this is exactly what this match could be with Conor Mills and Ricky Knight Jr. You know, I think this is going to be fast-paced. It's going to be intense. It's going to be an all-out war with both men with a point to prove. Ricky Knight Jr., of course, has his date with Destiny coming up March 26th, when he'll go one-on-one with the Great Khan, providing we can get Gideon Gray to finally sign off on that paperwork. But you know, we're getting it done. He's awkward. He's Gideon, but yeah, it looks like it's you know, we're a few points away with Gideon.
A few dotted I's and crossed T's away.
Yeah, but we're close, and I'm confident we'll be able to deliver that match on March 26th. You know, for that undisputed British Heavyweight Championship, and Ricky Knight Jr. is going to want to take all the momentum into the Revolution Rumble. And Conor Mills, look, he's in the Revolution Rumble, and he's going to want to take some momentum. He's going to want to prove some points ahead of that, you know, huge over-the-top rope Rumble contest, which could really catapult Conor Mills' professional wrestling career, because he could have any match of his choice? Will he go for the cruiserweight championship? Will he go for the heavyweight championship? Or will he go for something more personal? I'm looking at, perhaps a match with Michael Oku, who Michael Oku's adamant they will never compete against each other again. So, many opportunities and many options for Conor Mills, but if he were to win that Revolution Rumble, and that's what's so exciting about the Revolution Rumble, and what the winner of the Rumble would choose in victory. So, yeah, I'm, the wrestling fan in me is very excited about Ricky Knight Jr. and Conor Mills. Again, a homegrown contest, two of the best in the UK right now.
Absolutely, and all roads lead to the Revolution Rumble, as you said. Tickets for that, as always, available from the new home of all tickets at Revolution Pro Wrestling. That's revolutionprowrestling.com. And finally, we come to the final match on the card, something I'm really excited for. It's always a treat when you get to see Will Osprey wrestle. As you said, he's a once-in-a-lifetime talent. And he'll be going up against someone who, I know you're such a huge fan of him. We are too. We love bringing him into Revolution Pro Wrestling. It's the first time we've seen him in a RevPro ring this year. It's Big Damo.
Yeah, absolutely. The Beast of Belfast, Big Damo, like he's, undeniably one of the best heavyweights in the world. I think he needs to, in his mind, he needs to remind a few people of that fact. And this is a huge opportunity for him to do just that against the assassin, Will Osprey. Osprey's not going to back down from his challenge. I mean, this is very different to the challenge that Will Osprey was posed with in terms of Leighton Buzzard, who, shout out to Leighton Buzzard, by the way, he did a hell of a job in defeat against Will Osprey this past weekend in Southampton, and I absolutely encourage everyone to check that contest out on RevProOnDemand.com. But yeah, Damo is someone who's been there, he's done that. Few people will forget when he shocked the wrestling world by defeating Tomohiro Ishii in York Hall, Bethnal Green, before taking Shinsuke Nakamura to the absolute limit in the same venue many years ago, and that Big Damo is still in there, and I think in Big Damo's mind he's actually better than ever before. He's had a lot of life lessons since then, and like I say, this is his opportunity to once again show the wrestling world what he's all about, but he's trying to do it against the most dangerous man possible, in the sense of, look, no one wants to be upstaged, but Will Osprey, he takes that thought process to, no pun intended, another level, because he will go above and beyond to be the show stealer and to prove on any given night he's the best wrestler in the world. And look, I've said it before, I'll say it again. One of the most admirable things about Will Osprey is that he doesn't just do it in the big arenas. He does it week in, week out, in any environment that he's in. And that, to me, solidifies his claim of being the absolute best. He doesn't need to be competing for Revolution Pro Wrestling right now. He doesn't need to be helping us break into new towns, but he wants to, because he's got passion, he's got desire, he's got heart, and he wants to be a history maker. He wants to be a legacy maker. He wants people to talk about him in a positive light at the end of all this, and look at his contributions that he's given towards the sport of professional wrestling. And I think that, he's someone that we absolutely take for granted. And I said it before, I'll say it again, never take the opportunity to see this man live for granted, because he is one of the very best in the world. And look, to see him up close and personal is absolutely something else. It's an intimate environment, it's an intense environment, it's an electric environment. But I'm telling you, I have you on the edge of your seat. And this contest between himself and Big Damo is going to be a huge test for him. We know that Will Ospreay's put on a lot of size since Damo was last regularly in Revolution Pro Wrestling. We saw him briefly in RevPro last year. But right now, this is a different proposition from the Will Ospreay that Damo remembers. And the one dangerous thing about Ospreay is he's retained that speed. But hey, Damo can move for a big man. I'm telling you, I've seen him go coast to coast across the ring. He is the real deal. Will Ospreay's the real deal. They're two of the best heavyweights in the world, and they're going to compete this Friday in Cardiff. And listen, the pleasure's going to be all mine when I get to witness it live and in person, because this is a type of night that we live our wrestling fandom for, our professional wrestling lives for. And it's all coming this Friday in Cardiff, the first time in a long time that we've been in Cardiff. We hope it's going to be the first of many times back in Cardiff, as we look to make it a regular location for us in 2023. And the only way we can make that happen is with your support. So if you're watching, if you're nearby, then get yourselves to Cardiff this Friday. Don't sleep on these opportunities. And obviously, if you can't be there, we'll be trying to stream it live on RevProOnDemand.com. Of course, we're calling it a test stream because we're not sure what kind of network coverage we can get there, but hopefully it will be all good. We can stream it live, but regardless, the show will be up very quickly on RevPro On Demand straight after the event.
This really is one of those cards that brings in the inner wrestling fan in everyone. This Friday, the 24th of February, live from the Tram Shed in Cardiff. Please get your tickets from revolutionprowrestling.com. And as Andy said, we're going to try our best to live stream it. We'll see how that Cardiff 5G coverage is on the day.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. That's it at the end of the day. But, you know, the great thing about RevProOnDemand.com, as you alluded to earlier, is the archive of these classic matches that you can go back and you can look through. And I've said time and time again, you know, about some of these matches that we're witnessing right now, these first-time contests, Osprey and Damo, first-time contests, you know, Akira, Slater, first-time contest. I think we'll be looking back at you know, a lot of these first-time contests and saying, look, this is where it happened. This is where it happened first. You know, you may be seeing it in this huge arena in front of 40, 50, 60,000 people right now. The first time it happened was at Revolution Pro Wrestling, you know, in an intimate setting, an intimate environment. And either I was there or I watched it on RevProOnDemand.com, or I'm going to go back and watch it right now on RevProOnDemand.com and see what it was all about and how lucky we had it and didn't even realize.
That really is the magic of RevPro. Andy, thank you so much for joining us again. We hope you've all enjoyed this rundown, and we'll be back again probably later today or tomorrow to run down our Birmingham card. That's on Sunday.
Absolutely. I'll see you then.
See you then.